The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
The content heard on the Ask Dr. Tommy O Show is for informational or educational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice or consultation with healthcare professionals.
Hi, this is retired Army Captain Dr. Tommy O'Brien. For 25 years, I devoted my practice and military career to not only medically treating my patients, I have educated and guided them to a healthier lifestyle which improves the quality of their lives. Please contact me by visiting drtommyo.com. That's drtommyo.com. As an osteopathic medical physician, I am able to offer more than one would expect from an MD. I apply hands-on manipulation in concert with medical treatments to not only treat the illness, but the effects as well. Additional services I provide include medical weight loss and medical marijuana. Please contact me by visiting drtommyo.com for an immediate appointment. If you don't have medical insurance, or if your medical deductibles have not been reached or are very high, I offer an easily affordable membership program which allows you unlimited visits for a small monthly premium. Please contact me by visiting drtommyo.com. drtommyo.com, or call 631-980-8200. That's 631-980-8200. And let's put you on the track to a better health and better healthcare at an affordable rate. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Tommy O Show. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas O'Brien. The Ask Dr. Tommy O Show can be heard every Wednesday at 4 p.m. on 103.9 LA News Radio. I offer a very affordable concierge practice, which allows you access to the quality care you really deserve. With no rush office visits, both you and I can discuss your healthcare needs. As your primary care physician, it is important for me to have a baseline knowledge of your health. This way, when you come to my office not feeling well, knowing your history allows me to properly diagnose and treat your illness. Call my office today and schedule a history and physical. If you wait, it may be too late. To my military brothers, I got your six. To my Masonic brothers, the light is bright. Last week's question and answer session, the feedback was fantastic. I mean, my listeners, they sent me emails through my website and they were really happy. It was a little bit different, a little out of the box. And you really got to know who I am and where my background, where I come from. So today I decided to do something different again. So I invited two experts to discuss what the necessary steps to reduce stress when buying a home. That's right, reducing stress. I had a show on stress, external stressors and triggers. So this is important because this is probably one of the largest, most stressful situations one will have in their life, which we'll go into. Please welcome Sherry Lee Sugarman, Esquire. If you're not sure what the Esquire means, that means she's a lawyer. She is the owner and founder of Sugarman Law in Deer Park, a full-service law firm focusing on protecting your home, your business, and your legacy, as well as Ralph Taylor, manager of the Smithtown office of UNMB Home Loans. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Tommy. Thanks for having us.
Welcome, Dr. Tom. Thanks for having us here.
Absolutely. This is important. We talk about, making a difference in the community and helping each other. And we are LATIP members, and we help each other to make a difference. And, they say, well, how are you going to relate this to health? Well, it's about stress and reducing stress. And that's what I do in my practice. And this is what you do in your practice as well.
Oh, absolutely. Buying a home is one of the most stressful times in your life. And, Ralph and I are experts at what we do, if we want to call ourselves that.
Definitely. We're definitely experts.
Okay. And we really try to take that stress off the client so that they can go get their mortgage and focus on what's important to them and getting their mortgage, getting the house. So we will spend as much time as we need to get that deal done.
One of the best things people can do to take stress away is start early. Set up a good team of people, professionals. You need a good attorney. You need a good mortgage banker. You need a good real estate agent. And that's the way to go.
Right.
Doing everything up front really helps.
Exactly. I think you were discussing, you need the individual needs to be upfront and honest when asking for your help and not hiding information, because you will find out. becomes stressful for you and the potential buyer.
Oh, absolutely. Your credit report's going to show it up. The title search is going to show any judgments. Right. Your mortgage search is the credit report, and everything else is going to find it.
Right. Income's income. People make up all kinds of stories that I hear, and then when you finally get their tax returns and pay stubs, they don't make what they make. So do your homework in the beginning. It really helps a lot. Get a good education. Shari and I both educate our clients. We do everything worst case scenario, so they're more than prepared when it's time to buy a home.
Absolutely. You're talking, being prepared and educating, the same thing. We say preventative care. This is very similar to, with what I do with patients. You're doing the same thing, preparing your clients, so they will be and have a successful, I would say, an event or transaction. There you go. Yep, exactly.
And a lot of times people will think that the first thing that they have to do is go look for a house. It's not. The first thing that they need to know is how much of a house they can afford. And that's where Ralph comes in.
And it's coordination between attorney and banker. Shari and I get involved in where they're selling a house and buying a house, which makes double the stress. They meet with Shari first to go over the legalities of everything. Then I come in as a banker and tell them what they should be looking for. And we go based on comfort level. What are you comfortable paying, and see if they qualify for it.
Right. I know. I remember growing up with my father would say when he was buying a car, this is where I want to have my payments. So not necessarily looking for the car that you want, but for the car that you can afford. Same thing with a home. I mean, you don't want to bite off more than what you can chew. Yes, we all want the bells and whistles, but you have to be realistic. What's the current standard now? We used to say 2.5 times your salary. What's the current standard?
It's not a standard like that anymore because of the difference in taxes on properties. You see a house $400,000 in one area, the taxes are $9,000. Another area, there's $16,000. So it's not a rule of thumb anymore.
Not a rule of thumb.
No, unfortunately.
But that made it easier. But I think that was probably one of the problems with the housing boom and then bust, where they lowered the standards for purchasing, all through the 90s and early 2000s, and people were buying a lot more than what they can really afford, with the promise that you're going to have your bonus, and then you get this balloon payment, and
Yeah, that was a big problem that led to a huge financial crisis, a lot of houses going into foreclosure. And honestly, I see that happening in probably the next couple years, with people just going in and overbidding on houses right now and just saying, yes, that's the house I want, and I don't care how much it is. And then Ralph has to figure out how to get them into that house.
True statement. I'm trying to figure some things out. And being a person of character myself, I look at something and say, you think you can be qualified for it, but are you going to be comfortable paying it? And some people are biting off more than they can chew at this moment, I say.
Absolutely. Well, some of the things, the horror stories that I heard, you would say, okay, well, because they lowered the standard, instead of going 2.5 to 3 times, next you're going up to 5 times your income. It's you have to really, or what they'll say is, well, you can afford this, and what's your down payment? And then they will tack that down payment on top of the cost of the home and say, well, you're going to put $80,000 down for your down payment. So you know what? You can buy a house $80,000 more. And you'll notice you're looking at it wrong. That down payment's factored into what you can afford.
Agreeable. You got to keep it to where it's really comfortable for somebody. Because I try to point out to people, especially young couples, is somebody going to have a baby and stop working? Is it all going to be dependent on the man or the husband going to stay home and take care of the child? That's very important for people to analyze. A lot of bankers don't think that way. It's just get the transaction done. But you should educate people correctly.
Right. Well, it's the same thing here. You don't want to get the wrong medicine, right?
This is true.
You want to properly diagnose your patients and then treat them appropriately. If not, we're going to have a poor, outcome, and that becomes an issue. We don't want to have that.
I totally agree. I had a client who bought in the late 80s the late 90s at the height of the market. They were never comfortable. They went into a mortgage modification. They could never quite afford it. The husband lost the job, got a job later. The wife has narcolepsy. She couldn't work as much. 3 boys. Fast forward back maybe 6 or 7 years ago, we ended up short selling the house because they just could not afford it.
Right. It was more house than they could afford.
Absolutely. And it wasn't that modest. It was a relatively, just a local house.
Right,
It wasn't a big McMansion or anything. They could not afford it.
Right. It's just, the dynamics changed, like I said, and that's important. No one has a crystal ball, so we don't know the future. So you got to be very, very careful. For me, I'm more on the conservative side. So yes, I can afford this. Well, instead that I get a little bit less, so I know that if there's an issue, I have enough for a rainy day. All right. So we have 50 seconds left. So if my listeners, they need your services, how can they contact you?
Well, they can give me a call. It's Sugarman Law at 375 Comac Road in Deer Park, 631-406-7600.
Ralph Taylor, 398 Route 111, Smithtown, 631-748-0827. All questions are welcome.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you. This is part 1. We're finishing up part 1, and you're helping enrich our community on your field of expertise there. So we got 20 seconds, and I'll wrap up part 1, and we'll return. We'll continue with the questions. So if you missed one of my shows or you'd like to listen to a show again, go to my website, drtomio.com, click Ask Dr. Tomio, and my shows will appear. Let me help you lead a happier and healthier life. If you wait, it may be too late. Welcome back to the Ask Dr. Tomio Show. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas O'Brien. Today's topic, stress-free home buying. Stress-free home buying. All right, so let's continue. I'm here with Sherry and with Ralph. Let's talk about your expertise and what to expect and what to do or what not to do, things to do when buying a home.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes the person who's buying the house thinks that they're going to go, that's the house I want, and now I'm going to build my team. I think it's backwards. You really should build your team ahead of time. You have to get a pre-approval. You have to, I would recommend that you speak to a lawyer before you go put that offer on the house, because then you know how much money to put down, how to structure the offer. And I know a lot of real estate agents are thinking, oh, no, I'll help them with that. But it's good to have a whole team so that they have all the information available to you. Wouldn't you agree?
100%. It's good to do that and start putting your paperwork together, your tax returns, your pay stubs, updated bank statements. Get all your paperwork together. This way you're prepared. You can give it to your banker or myself and go over it with me. And I'll help you with it. And,
if you are just thinking about buying a house, but you're not quite ready to it, talk to Ralph. He will go over your finances and let you know what you can afford. Or if your credit report needs fixing, you can take a look at it. And then, an educated buyer is much better positioned for an accepted offer than somebody who's just going and looking at houses. And in this market, I know everybody's heard the horror stories about, 50 people waiting in line for an open house, and, they put in 16 offers and none of them were accepted. It's because they weren't perfect buyers. And in this market, you need to be the perfect buyer.
If you look at purchasing a house now, it's the biggest investment you're ever going to make in your life, basically, at this point in your life, most people's lives. You're spending $500,000 to buy a piece of property. Be prepared. Everyone's going to have advice for you. Your friends, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather's going to say, when I bought a house, I had no money down. So you have to limit the outside noise. Our bank, what we do, we have some specials for people. We call it our HERO program for teachers, firemen, policemen, all armed services. We give big discounts to. Shari, the attorney, gets involved on that and helps donate to and these people are heroes, and they should be taken care of. And teachers included. I don't know if I said that, but...
There it is. So you said military, some military, ex-military.
Yep.
Hoorah!
Yeah, agreeable.
You're never ex-military. You're former military.
Well, it's a term. But it could be. We were talking about. You were saying about being prepared. Again, having a full team, an expert, not listening to family members. I always say, Dr. Google should be sued, right? It's, people come in, I have this, I have that. No, you don't. No, you don't. I said, let's keep it simple. There's a saying in medicine, if you hear hoofs, think of horses, not zebras. And that means, you're going to think of something that's common, not rare. Do we see zebras? No. If we were in Africa, it'd be different. We'd say, think of zebras, not horses. But here, you're looking for something that's common. So you want to protect your clients and make sure they get the proper education.
Another thing, we're talking about pre-approval and setting up your team and meeting them. There is no charge or obligation when we sit down with you. I do pre-approvals for people all the time. 90%, 95% of the people use me, but there's also some people that don't. But it doesn't make me do my job any different. Right. My job is a mortgage is a puzzle. It's just figuring out the pieces in the right order for you.
Right. What are the steps when you're buying a home?
Well, the first one is to get your pre-approval or your pre-qualification ahead of time through your mortgage loan officer, hopefully Ralph. Yeah. And then speak with me so that we can tell you, help you formulate your offer before you actually do an offer. Then once you get an accepted offer, your first step actually is a home inspection. So that way you want to make sure that the house is, you know what you're buying. Right. And you also know that it's structurally sound.
And don't skimp out on that. And I say that seriously. I get a lot of people that say, my uncle's a contractor, he'll do it. But if it's wrong and you're going to hate your uncle, get an engineer to go in and inspect the property.
Right, exactly.
It's the most important thing.
Absolutely. When I purchased my house, we had we did the assessment, but we didn't realize that because we have a pool. So the home inspection did not include the pool. Okay, that's a difference. So the realtors didn't educate us on that, and the lawyer never mentioned it. So we're like, okay, this is the first time I'm buying a house. I bought property, but it was a co-op, so it was a little bit different. I'm not worrying about pools and all this extra stuff that we have to worry about. So it turns out that the pool was sinking. So we didn't know about that until a year later when it was 8 inches down. And so we had to redo the pool. And well, who do we hold accountable for this? And so we were going through doing due diligence, but we didn't realize that we were given the proper information to have a dedicated pool inspector. So I got burnt there, and that cost me a pretty penny to redo my pool and my back.
And you
deck.
have a pretty unique pool, so.
Yeah.
The next step would be for me to get the contract of sale from the seller's attorney. I'll review it, negotiate any finer points. Then I get you in to sign the contract. That's when your down payment is due. That's the amount that's due on contract. That is your risk that's your down payment. If you decide that you're going to cancel the contract and willfully default, that's the money that you could lose. Then we send the contract over to the seller. The seller's attorney and the seller meet, and then they sign the contract. And at that point, you're in contract. You have 45 days generally to get your mortgage commitment. We send the contract over to Ralph. He starts doing his job.
And at that point, I already have a full application because when I do the pre-approval, I make sure I'm ready to go when Shari sends me that contract. So I usually get it into processing. Within 10 days, you have your mortgage commitment, and I start working at what's called prior to closing conditions. And Shari's getting me a title report from a reputable title company.
We actually had a commitment a few weeks ago before we even went into contract. It was great.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, good teamwork, a well-oiled machine.
And actually, she was a referral from one of our LITIP members, and she has used everybody in the group, including Alliance Abstract, Ralph Pacifico from Pacifico Engineering. She's used the insurance, Jimmy Dugan from the insurance company for her insurance. She's done everything, and she loves our team.
Right.
So, it's always good to work with somebody who knows a lot of different people, because then you can get personalized service.
Absolutely.
And that's where we get the stress-free. We are handling all these little fine details for you, so you are stress-free. You don't have to go stress out and say, I need to go get home insurance. I need to go get this. What do I do with that? What about this? What about that? You can be as minutia as you want, but we've got your back.
Right. Right.
And we're also available. It's not one of these things you get in a phone call 3 days later. Most people have my cell phone. I have my office rings directly to my cell phone. I answer it. I'm one of those crazy people that just answer my phone. And if I don't, it means I'm with family and I'll get back to you later.
Right.
And I have a great staff that, they will, if I'm not available, they will speak with you. We'll schedule appointments specifically to have a telephone call with you because your time is just as valuable as mine. I'm not going to have you call and then play telephone tag. We'll actually schedule an appointment so that you can call me or I'll call you and we can get that point cleared up.
Right. All right, so this half's already finished. We're down to 1 minute and 5 seconds, so it goes quick. Again, I want to thank both of you for being on the show, for educating the listeners on your expertise. It's important, again, keeping the stress down, keeping those triggers down. Today it's just very stressful. So if they want to contact you, my listeners, how would they contact you?
Again, Shari Sugarman, Sugarman Law, 375 Comac Road in Deer Park, 631-406-7600.
Ralph Taylor, UNMB Home Loans, 398 Route 111, Smithtown, 631-748-0827. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, thank you for both of you for being on my show. Really making a difference.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Making a difference. All right. To learn more about my practice, go to drtomio.com. That's drtomio.com, or give me a call at 631-980-8200. That's 631-980-8200. Thank you and God bless.
The content heard on the Ask Dr. Tommy O Show is for informational or educational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice or consultation with healthcare professionals.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.